Inspired by the revolution in Tunisia, small networks of Egyptian activists were gearing up for mass action. They had been agitating against President Mubarak's autocratic rule for years, but they had never attracted mass support until people saw what was achievable. Their demands were simple: political freedoms, an end to state corruption, and a better quality of life for an impoverished population. There were signs that a significant majority of Egyptian people were becoming increasingly frustrated, but the question was whether this was just going to be a social media revolution, or if it would actually bring people out onto the streets. On the morning of January 25, 2011, people decided to start protest marches around the country, calling for greater freedoms and political change. In Cairo, scuffles broke out with riot police. Mubarak always relied on the security forces to quell popular protest, but they gradually became less and less effective. In February 2011, after weeks of protests, Hosni Mubarak stood down. The country was now run by Egypt's military chiefs, the Supreme Council of Armed Forces, SCAF, headed by Field Marshal Mohamed Hussein Tantawi. Protests and demonstrations by different groups were becoming increasingly frequent. The Egyptian people felt they had fought hard for political change and so were now determined to pick a new leader. In May 2012, Egyptians went to the polls in the country's first free and fair elections, and by mid-June a result was declared. Mohamed Morsi of the Freedom and Justice Party, the Muslim Brotherhood's political wing, narrowly won with 51% of the vote. 12 months into his presidency, on the first anniversary of the election, thousands of Morsi opponents massed in cities across the country, demanding his resignation. In response, Morsi's supporters set up a sit-in camp outside the Rabaa al-Adawiyya Mosque. On the July 1st, as mass demonstrations continued, the army again played a crucial role. Its attitude hardened and it decided it was time to act against the president. General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Egypt's military chief, issued Morsi with a final ultimatum. The army wanted to replace Morsi with an interim government, revise his constitution and call new elections within a year. However, Morsi remained defiant. He made a dramatic speech pledging to defend his legitimacy and vowing not to step down. But as his election victory had been a narrow one, by now many swing voters had deserted him and he relied almost entirely on the Muslim Brotherhood for support. On July 3, the military went through with its ultimatum. General al-Sisi announced that Morsi had been deposed and replaced by Supreme Court Chief Justice Lee Mansour. The night Morsi was deposed, 5 television channels considered biased to the Muslim Brotherhood were shut down. And since July 2013, journalists have been arrested, though some have since been released. Protests and demonstrations have continued, and the plan put forward by the Mansour government is to call new elections within the next 12 months. But can stability be restored in a way that enables ordinary Egyptians to regain hard-earned freedoms, rebuild their lives, their economy and a lasting future?